In this video, I'm diving into 13 key things. These are things that I really feel can make or break your leadership career. So let's get started. Number one, and this really is my number one, particularly if you've been promoted internally, you are now the boss and you are not everyone's friend. This does not mean that you suddenly become an isolated robot who doesn't care anymore. This means you're going to have to work on those professional boundaries with people who potentially were previously quite good friends with you. You'll have to really reflect on your behaviour, how you speak, and your actions to make sure that you're not at all portraying somebody who is treating somebody differently because you were previously quite good friends. You'll probably have to think about this when you communicate with people too. Am I treating this person the same as I would so and so, because this person was actually my friend before? Am I doing anything differently here? There is nothing wrong with being friendly, but you will have a few thousand problems if you start being good friends with people that you are also supposed to manage. It makes for a very difficult management relationship. I have also done another video on making this transition from being a friend to the boss, which is linked on your screen. Number two is very important for your leadership reputation. Do not pretend to know more than what you actually do. There is no shame in saying, I actually don't know and I'll need to get back to you. In fact, it's the biggest relief ever. You can park stuff. You don't have to give everybody an answer straight away. It is not going to damage your reputation to come back to something because you don't know. It is, however, going to damage your reputation if you pretend to be a know-it-all, because that is definitely going to catch you out. Employees who actually know what is going on are going to watch you and potentially take some joy when you do fail. So don't put yourself in that position. Be humble. Admit that you don't know. Number three is to be consistent. This is crucial when you're dealing with your team. If someone does something wrong, you need to consistently deal with it, no matter which member of the team it is. Don't have different rules for different people. If someone is consistently showing up 2 hours late every single day, which is like ridiculous, but you know, if that is happening and it is someone who you used to be friends with, don't deal with it differently than you would somebody that you don't know that well and you're their boss. Make sure that your actions are perceived by everybody and actually are consistent, fair and equitable. Consistency also builds trust, and it's going to make your life a lot easier in the long run. Number four is about not being afraid. Don't be afraid to do things. It is far worse to not do something, to not take action on a potential problem because you're not 100% sure, than it is to take action and it potentially be slightly off base. Your manager is not going to want to have to sit down with you and say, what, you knew about this and you did nothing? That is not a great conversation. Don't be afraid of making decisions. It's your job and there is some risk involved. Number five, and this one is really important, if somebody says something, promises something, commits to something, or does something that could potentially result in actions later, get it in writing. This is particularly important in HR situations. If you see a situation that you have to deal with, make sure you note it down somewhere if you get any sense that this is going to be a reoccurring event or a problem that you need to sort out later. Even if you just write down the date, the situation, the time in your diary and you do nothing, it's just about making sure that you've got it in writing. So if you see it again, you can then address it again and refer back to it. It's also helpful when you're having meetings, taking note of the actions and what was agreed. Then you can make sure that those actions are actually followed through. And if you do it in an email, in bullet points after the meeting, you're not going to hear somebody 2 weeks down the track say, well, I didn't agree to that. I didn't know that. You've got it in writing. Number six is to say no. You don't have to say no to everything, but don't say yes to everything either. Just because you're new in a management role doesn't mean you want to be an eager beaver and commit to everything to make people happy. You're just going to burn out. and potentially overcommit your team too. Number 7, the buck stops with you. This one can be tough. When you're an employee, it can be quite easy to sit back and think, well, that's not my problem, that's not my job. You see something happen and the blame doesn't necessarily sit with you. When you're in a leadership role, that all changes. Something happens and there's a mistake or a failure, this is going to rest on your shoulders, even if you didn't necessarily make the mistake. This is also true about what you are prepared to walk past. If you walk past an inappropriate conversation and you don't say anything as the leader, people are going to assume that means that you endorse it and it's okay. What you walk past is what you endorse. If your signature is on it, it's yours. If you agreed to it, you own it. Doesn't matter who's doing the actual work. Number 8 is to focus on the outcome, not necessarily the process. Don't get down in the weeds with how things are done. Try and look more at what the outcome is of the things that were done. What was achieved? Don't get caught in any kind of micromanaging with your team. This can be quite hard. It is quite hard as a new manager to lift yourself up a little bit and think, I don't need to look at all of that little detail stuff. I need to trust my team and the job that they're doing and look at the outcome of what it is we've done. Number 9, never ask somebody to do what you are not prepared to do yourself. As someone who grew their career from the bottom and then worked their way up over years, I know myself that I always really appreciated when every now and then my manager would just dig in and get stuff done with me, because there are times where you do need to do that. And I don't want my team to feel like I'm just handing off all the rubbish tasks because I'm not prepared to do them myself. Of course, there are people that have roles and specific tasks that are assigned to them, and that's their job. But don't give them other tasks that you just really don't want to do yourself. Make sure that you're thinking about this when you're delegating. If you've delegated a task and you're thinking, I just never want to do that task, I need to get rid of it, then you probably shouldn't be delegating. Other people are watching you as a leader, and you need to lead by example. Number 10 is to be open, within reason. Don't act like everything's a top secret and you are a robot that never shares anything about themselves. Don't be afraid to open up to people. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about sharing everything about your personal life. I'm just meaning showing a little bit of humanity so that people know that you are actually a person. You can also be doing this through the work that you're going through too. It could be that you're struggling with a project and there's some barriers in the way. You can talk to your team about some of that stuff within reason, and they may have some good ideas around how we could turn things around. So there is an advantage to actually being open and, as much as you can, transparent about what's going on for you. Sharing things builds trust, and if your team trusts you, they'll work much more confidently and efficiently for you. Number 11, under promise, over deliver. You do not want to come into a new manager role with a hiss and a roar and be an overachiever that cannot sustain. This is a little bit of a trap for new leaders. You want to achieve everything to show that you're worth the investment that your manager's made in putting you into that role. But if you're always committing to things that are actually almost always out of your reach, you're going to look like you're failing. You're also going to burn out really fast. Try and reframe things in your mind around, okay, I know I could probably do this project within 2 weeks, but I'm going to say 2.5 weeks in terms of the deadline, just in case something goes wrong, to give myself a little bit of fat. And then that way, you tell your boss you're going to finish it in 2.5 weeks, and you finish it in 2, you're over-delivering. That's a good outcome, and it hasn't cost you complete stress and burnout. Number 12 is to delegate. You will find in your leadership role that you will end up with 100 different things coming at you from all sorts of people. You'll get problems from your team, you'll get work from your boss, you'll get things from stakeholders, and it's actually not possible in most scenarios for you to be able to complete all of this in your job. It's part of your job to delegate to your team. That's part of the role, assigning people appropriate tasks. Your job is to ensure that things get done, not necessarily to do it all yourself. Number 13 is that education or MBA does not necessarily mean that you're going to make a great leader. What you learn in theory at university, polytech, training, wherever, is not the same as learning on the job. It is actually pretty hard to picture what a management or leadership job is going to look like when you're studying the books. Don't get me wrong, it's great to have education, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great manager. I've done a video on the reality of education versus on-the-ground experience, which is linked on your screen if you'd like to check that out next. But these are my 13 things that I wish that I'd had real clarity over when I first came into leadership. Let me know in the comments if any of these resonated with you. And if you got some value out of this video, I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.